Hello everyone, my name is John Bussart. I'm an HPE Solution Center engineer for Ingram Micro. I help support servers, blade systems, storage, and networking technology solutions for HPE. In my videos, what I like to do is show you a slide from a popular PowerPoint and present to you what that means within a management interface. Today we're going to continue on our conversation with HPE's OneView management software. OneView strives to be the replacement for HP's Systems Insight Manager, or what's called SIM. It allows you to be able to manage your converged infrastructure through a software-defined mechanism and allows you to automate tasks you do every day, day in and day out within your data center. There are different licenses for OneView. There is a OneView standard license, which is a monitor-only mode, and you get this with your HP server equipment. Pretty much, this is a red is bad, green is good type of monitoring interface for your infrastructure. You can certainly upgrade that to OneView Advanced, which will reach into the different aspects of an ILO Advanced pack within your servers, as well as give you other proactive maintenance and management options within your environment. So with that being said, let's explore this infrastructure. Okay, here's my default login for OneView. You can notice I am accessing it through a web browser, so potentially anything with a web interface could manage this. So something like a tablet, for example, you could manage this infrastructure. And I would say that the interface is pretty finger friendly. You can click on things with your finger and get access to a variety of things. Now, to get a OneView server set up, it's pretty easy. It comes packaged as a virtual machine, either in a Hyper-V format or a VMware format. And pretty much you just need to import it in your environment, give it its default IP address you want to log into it with, and then start showing it your management interfaces. For example, an ILO interface or an onboard administrator interface for blade systems. Not limited to that, but it would be quite typical as to what you would do. So this is the default setting, or this is the default view in the environment. A quick tour of this is up here. I've got a nice search bar where I could do a search and get information pretty quickly, and then I could click on this and it would bring me over to that entity if I wanted to. I have some activity notifications, so if anything was happening recently within this environment or going on, I would see that listed here, and I could also bring that up by clicking here as well. A help page, as well as my login information. So this is the default view, the default circles that you see in front of us. I can modify this if I want to and customize this view to meet whatever needs I have within my environment. If I click over here, I can select Add. I could choose a variety of things. If I select Custom, I could choose my resource, and I don't know, let's see, we'll say something like drivers and firmware, and we'll add that, and you can see I've got another circle that shows up over here. And to get rid of it, all I need to do is just hit the X over here, and it is removed. Okay, let's describe what we are looking at here. First, we can look at server hardware. So if I click on server hardware, you'll see I get a listing of the different hardware that I'm managing within this environment. You see that I'm managing some BL460 blade servers from different generations that are all within my C7000 enclosure. But I'm also managing traditional rack mount servers, so something like DL380s and DL360s. And I'll select this guy real quick. I can get a default view into what's going on in the environment, so I can see the config here. I could do things like look at utilization. Right, and I can expand this out to see CPU utilization, power utilization, temperature, as well as I could set some custom attributes if I felt like it. All right, we go back up here, go back to the overview. I can also get access to the remote graphical interface, so I could launch that. And you can see I can interact with this system from this interface. I get all the goodness that comes with an ILO Advanced pack. So let's go back to the dashboard view. All right, so server hardware. We could also look at enclosures. So this is the C7000 blade enclosure that I'm managing. You can see I can highlight. I could see what blade servers are installed where. Right, and we can look at the fans, the power supplies. Fans are over in the back. And we can also look at the modules that I have. So these interconnect modules are what allow these blade systems to be able to communicate with the rest of the world. So typically your SAN as well as your network connection. And you can see that I have virtual connect modules installed inside my environment. I can get a better view of the interconnect modules if I click over here on Interconnects. And I have 2 interconnect modules installed. Again, I could take a look at either one of these and then break into the details. And there's quite a bit of detail that I can get in this environment. One of the nice things about this interface is I can get because this is kind of a lot of information, but I can get a kind of map view of this interdependency or this interrelationship between these different devices. And I can get this type of view anywhere I see this little icon here. So for example, if I go back to dashboard and go over to server hardware, right, if I select a system here, I've got that over here. And again, I could see the interrelationship here. And let's try a blade server. And again, I could see the interrelationship here between these various components. All right, so we talk about server hardware, talk about enclosures, we talk about interconnect. Now we have these logical entities. So quickly, logical entities are a mechanism for being able to set up a configuration and then reproduce that as I bring additional blade enclosures within the environment. So I don't want to set up a blade enclosure to bring a new one in to duplicate all my efforts again. And this is kind of a mechanism for me to be able to duplicate that. For example, if I go and look at logical interconnects, we're going to see both my interconnects listed here and how they're interconnect. For example, this 10 gig uplink that I have here, it goes to both of these ports. And if I edit it, actually looking deeper here, you'll see the different VLANs that I've associated with these 2 ports. And again, I've configured that, and as I bring in a new blade enclosure environment, I can have it adopt these settings. All right, so hardware, enclosures, interconnect. We've got these logical entities. On top, we have storage pools. Storage pools allow us to be able to manage a 3-power store serve system from within this environment. I'm going to leave that separate for another video for you guys. I'm going to have a few videos. OneView is a very powerful tool, and I want to make sure that I break this up and give it its proper attention. Server bays. These are the bays within my blade enclosure that are populated or empty. And if you notice, as I highlight each one of these, they change. For example, if I go over here to servers with profiles, I can look at the servers that have no profiles, and if I can actually click on that. Let's see. And these are the systems that don't have any profiles. And again, I could go back to the dashboard and click on the ones that don't have any profiles and get a view into that. And if I could go up here and reset that view and then break things down even further or expand things out. And again, I could change out my view as well. All right, so that kind of talks about everything. I've kind of touched for a second on profiles, so let's dig a little bit deeper into what server profiles are. So server profiles are a set of configuration entities that I can apply to a piece of hardware in the environment. Now I can do a little bit more with blade solutions as opposed to a traditional rack system, but keep in mind that with my license for OneView, I also get other interesting components such as OneView for vCenter or System Center, and this is the ability to have plugins into those various management utilities. For example, VMware for vCenter, I could have a OneView personality within that environment or monitoring capabilities within that environment. You also get a Insight Control server provisioning license as well, which allows you to do an automated and scripted install of operating systems, image capture and creation, as well as transferring operating systems between similar hardware. So just keep in mind those are included. I have a couple videos on those created as well that are posted, so go take a look at those if you want to know a little bit more information. But let's take a look at a server profile, for example, this system here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select Edit. so we can get a little bit better view. So I gave this profile a name. I could choose a template, so I could create templates that I could reuse over and over again as I deploy new services within the environment. Go down to firmware management. So certainly OneView allows me to manage my firmware with in my infrastructure. So right now it's manually managed. If I change that and select a service pack for client, so a service pack for client is a bundling of all HP drivers, firmware, and software for their supported systems, and it's a single ISO, or you could burn it to a DVD if you wanted to, and you could apply that to all your systems. If I select this service pack for a client, which I've uploaded into this environment, you see I can do different things. I can do a firmware as well as OS drivers using HP Smart Update tools, and that's an update utility that comes on that disk. I could do firmware only if I wanted to, or I could do firmware only without Smart Update tools. And basically what that means is as this server boots up or gets rebooted, it will actually boot into this ISO or this DVD and apply that update. All right, some other additional things that I'll cover over in another module when I talk about OneView in relation to Blade and Virtual Connect. I could set boot settings. I could go down and then manage the BIOS as well. So edit BIOS and see a variety of things that I could have or change within this. Now those are settings that are on this one system that I already have deployed. What I can do is create a server profile template. I don't have any templates created, but I can go over here, create a template, say call it base. We'll say this is for DL380 Gen 9 system. I could choose the hardware type. I could choose if I want, when I bring a new system online, if I want it to get a firmware update. I could manage the boot settings, manage my boot mode. And again, I can manage the BIOS settings. You can see all the different settings. So I have a corporate standard for how I configure a BIOS or a system. I could set that up here and then deploy this. So then I could click Create. All right, and we'll see this server profile is created. And then I can go up here and then click Create a new server profile and apply that to a new system that I can bring within the environment. All right, so let's go back over to dashboards. So certainly I have the ability to apply firmware images and BIOS settings. How do firmwares get loaded into this environment, or service pack for clients get loaded? I go over here, I go to Firmware Bundles, and you can see that firmware bundle exists inside our environment. And you can scroll down and see some of the different packages that are included with this service pack for client. And if I needed to upload the latest version, I click Add Firmware Bundle, and I choose my file, and then I bring it into the environment. Now I have a bunch of options that I could use to be able to deploy this firmware. For example, I showed you applying it to server profiles themselves, but I could actually apply them to logical enclosures if I felt like it. So I go over here to Action. You'll see Update Firmware, and then I could choose my service pack for client, and I could choose what I want to update. So the shared infrastructure as well as the profiles I could update as far as a blade enclosure is concerned. Some other things, I could manage my infrastructure at a rack level. If I have an intelligent rack, and as I add HP servers into the environment, automatically populate within this rack. And of course, things that cannot be detected or third-party items, I can manually add that into this environment to the end of actually looking at everything from a data center view. And then I could look at my infrastructure, get heat coefficients within the environment, and get an understanding of where I may be having additional heating and cooling that might be needed for the environment through the data center view. All right, so that's my quick overview of HP OneView. I hope you found this video informative, and please stay tuned for more videos.